Everyone, it's been a minute. I know it's been a while since I did a video. We've got two coming up today, one on crypto, one on football. Crypto has been on, how do you put it, a wild roller coaster, hasn't it, over the last few weeks. January has been, well, crazy. It pumped and then it dumped. And last week was nothing short of capitulative. But that's not just crypto. The same has happened on gold, and the same has happened on silver, and even to some degree the stock market as well. Everything's got battered. We'll dissect that a little bit more in this video as we progress. And then also we've got the trials and tribulations happening around the football world at the moment. No real changes up top. We've seen Villa's form continue. We've seen a couple of stutters. We've seen Man United really coming on. We had the sack race, didn't we, with Maresca, Almiron, and both leaving, and also some of the lower league placing teams cycling managers as well. And we've seen some positive bounce as a result of that, haven't we? You know, Rosenior's come in, Chelsea, they've won every game since he's come in. Carrick's come in, we've had the new manager bounce. The chap might finally get his hair cut for Man U. All that to go through and have a chat about. So lots to get through, lots to go through. So grab a drink. Hopefully this will be a nice relief for you on a Sunday. And let's get into everything that's happening at the moment in the world of crypto and football. So, crypto, where do we start? Well, so much has happened since my last video. It has been a while, and it only takes a day or two for things to really go crazy in the world of crypto, or even in the markets in general. We've got Trump going full megalomaniac, haven't we? He has been on nothing short of the rampage. We've had Venezuela, we've had Greenland threats, we've had Iran threats, we've now had the Epstein files, more stuff coming out, loads of FUD around Bitcoin and links to Bitcoin. We've had Mandelson now caught up in it. He's been sacked, he's been paid off. There's been loads of controversy around the scandal of the Labour government's handling of this. And you know, that's on back of everything with Israel. It's just not great politically around the world. So there's no wonder the markets are tanking. There's no wonder things are being crazy. So this is how it is. I just thought I'd put this on because I'm not going to drill into any detail. It's just to simply state that there's a lot going. There's a lot of macro going on. We've got a new Fed chair coming in later this year. It's mixed. He owns Bitcoin. He's got, I think it's $750,000 in cryptocurrency. He seems to be bullish on that, but the market reacted negatively to that news. He is seen as somebody who might be quite hawkish, and is not a fan of reducing rates, and obviously that tanked the markets at that news. Everybody got scared. Gold went on a massive rampage, didn't it? Went up to, I think it was 5.5k. Gold went up to, and it capitulated down to I think low thousands. Still massively up, but a huge sell for gold because it's pretty stable. It has a steady run up and steady chops, but yeah, for that to capitulate in a way that it did, it was just like a red candle all the way down. It was absolutely insane. And we'll have a look at that when we look at prices, because we've got PAX G that is linked and pegged to the gold reserve, gold price against dollar, so we can see that, and we'll be able to show that shortly. But yeah, it has been a roller coaster. Bitcoin did top out. We got nearly at 100k in January, and then it capitulated all the way down to last week's lows of nearly 60k. Now, when you think Bitcoin went up to, what was it, 125 all-time high, 60k is Bitcoin on 50% sale. Now, bear markets, traditionally, Bitcoin will drop to about 70% of its all-time high, which would put it around, I think it's 38,000. So we've still got some way to go to get to that bear market potential low, if it's in line with history, which history does seem to be rhyming very well at the moment, doesn't it? The 4-year cycle definitely feels like it's intact. And to quote Ben Cowan, this cycle felt like it topped on apathy rather than euphoria, which is how it usually tops. So who knows what's going to happen next? You know, we've got the midterms coming up towards the end of the year. Will Trump try his best to pump the markets? he needs to stop. He needs to come off Truth Social, doesn't he? Because that's been the major issue thus far, and what we've seen. So let's have a look and do it maybe in the key stuff that's happening this week. So when you look through, we've got quite a lot going on this week, but towards the end of the week. So when you're typically looking at this Forex Factory, you're looking for like red folder news. The red folder usually means there's some big stuff. So we've got the US has got quite a lot going on. We've got core retail sales. We've got retail sales coming in. So we've got a forecast of 0.4% on both expected. We then got average earnings coming on on Wednesday. Non-farm employment change and unemployment rate, which is a big one. It's been 4% previously, 4.4%. The prediction is for it to be the same. So if that comes in hot, we could see a positive reflection on Friday. So Wednesday again might be quite an interesting day. Thursday we've got GDP in UK and unemployment claims again in US. So previously it was 231. This time round it's expected 222, all the twos. So we'll see what happens there. Thursday's a big day, and then Friday we've got some more letter news. We've got CPI coming in, month, year, and core CPI as well. So lots of the forecast is there. If those numbers go massively lower or massively higher, we will see a change of price. If it stays the same, we'll probably see sideways movement. And actually, a lot of this seems to have been bang on, and that's why the price has obviously not moved in recent weeks. However, we had a capitulative event, and what we're seeing now is there's a lot more leverage in the market. Obviously, ETFs have brought a different type of investor into crypto, and we are seeing the ramifications of that. Lots of outflows last week, which led to people being shorting, longs getting liquidated, and it just capitulating further and further down. So you get momentum once it hits one bar, that crushes liquidity, and then you get more and more drops, and it just snowballs. And that's what we're seeing when we're seeing these big sell-offs. It's because of the short. So we had the October one, we had one again in December, and we've had some big ones in January and again in February. So we really are seeing that liquidation snowball effect happen right across. And so these key data points are important to look for, because if you've got longs and shorts in the market on a heavy amount of leverage, that will knock out price up or down depending on which way the data points. So data is key, as always, in all aspects of life, right? I'm going to go a different way. I'm going to go through alt season next. Is it alt season? I think we all know it's definitely not. It's definitely veering towards Bitcoin. Alts have capitulated massively and been on a real downtrend. If you hold altcoins, it ain't pretty, is it, at the moment? A lot of us have round tripped. I'm definitely the same. I've round tripped. I were expecting a Q4 pump. Never came, really. August was the real time for alts, and selective alts pumped at times. If you're holding alts, I'm not going to go out now at a 40% gain. A 70-80% loss on some of them. But some won't come back, so you're going to have to write that off. I will say that the only coin I am putting money into right at this moment is dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin, and I did up that over the course of last week as it went down to those low amounts. I did some extra buys, but still not going crazy, because I think it's still got more room to grow. Now, traditionally, what you'll see with Bitcoin is that it probably will bounce up, and we'll see the Bitcoin season really come into fore probably around March. So I'm expecting a pump in March, between the end of February to March, and then it to sell off, understandably, because of tax. So people will pump it, and then I think it'll get dumped towards the end of March, maybe early April, as people start to take profits to the end of the tax year. Especially, I can see it happening this year, simply because we've not had that euphoric phase. People have not taken profits, and people will have a decision to make whether to write off losses and take profits at the end of the financial year. So just be wary. March is a key time, and particularly early April, just simply because of the tax year ramifications and people wanting to balance their books from a tax perspective. So that could happen. So fear and greed, where are we today? It's been a horrible week, hasn't it? Look at that, down to 7. That is absolutely insane, isn't it? I don't think I've seen it that low in here. And what's the saying? When it's extreme fear, that's when you buy. When it's extreme greed, that is you sell. If you use that as a simple measure, you probably always make money. That's what people say. We had 6 and 7. It really is in a bad place at the moment. So definitely time to think about if you are interested in things. I would go not financial advice, but I would share extreme caution if you're looking at alts at the moment. make sure you pick very wisely because it could be dangerous. I still don't think ETH for me is at a price where I'd be interested. You've got your layer ones, which are, if you are going into alts and having some exposure, ETH and Sol. Sol's at a good price at under $100, but I think for me, I will only buy ETH when it goes under a K, and I'll only buy Sol when it goes under $50. They're usually my buy prices to think about. But all of the alts, I'm going to be very wary of. Traded into now. I bought some Sui and quite a few others, and obviously that's dead. So it's really, really low at the moment. So yeah, just extreme caution when you're buying. The probably only one that's held out, and I can't believe I'm saying this, is XRP. It was at such a low price before. Obviously it's down to $1.25, but still that's higher than it was a couple of years ago, just simply because of the court ruling and everything, the set drop in the case. So it's really important to think about all this and just be mindful of what's going to happen. So just be careful out there. It is extreme fear. Like I say, I'm doubling down on Bitcoin because to me it's on sale, and quite a reduced sale. It will go down even further, so I'm not putting up my mortgage on it, but definitely think about maybe if you've not got any exposure to Bitcoin, it might be worth starting at a small, if you are, not financial advice, but if you are thinking of starting your journey in crypto, now could be a good time to start slowly averaging in, just small amounts to start off with, and then as it drops lower, I think down, the sweet spot's going to be around 35k, unless all this shit and FUD with Epstein being Satoshi and all that rubbish, which is absolute nonsense. I don't believe it for a minute. I think it's just articles to scaremonger, and the XRP army going hard and really pushing that Bitcoin is dead and it's Epstein's baby. And there is false email, I'm sure it's false, email saying that he felt that XRP and XLM and Stellar were a risk to their project, which I don't believe that email. I think the trouble you've got now is you've got AI, you've got all sorts of things that can miss. So unless it's come from an official source, I will be skeptical of anything you read on the Epstein's case. Obviously it's tragic. Everything that happened around that is absolutely disgusting and despicable. I am definitely not making a case for anything. I'm just simply focusing on the impact to crypto and the FUD that's coming as off the back of this of people making things up. And I'd just be extremely skeptical of anything you read because we know how easy it is to fabricate things now. So just be mega careful when you are reading anything and always view things with skepticism until it's proven from an official source, because trust me bros out there saying this is real, just be careful with all that. But we're in extreme fear. That's good for a buyer like us. We buy when it's fear, don't we? And we sell when it's greed. We're not seeing that euphoric greed, which is why most of us round trip this market, because it's not been what we hoped. If you're holding alts, if you hold Bitcoin and it was your price. So my advice to you is have a price or an indicator that you want to sell. So I've happily opened mine. I've got a mortgage. My price is my mortgage. So when Bitcoin reaches a price, or I reach an amount of Bitcoin that's equivalent to my mortgage, I will cash in my Bitcoin and pay my mortgage off plus any tax. So it's not just the price of the mortgage, it's the tax I'll have to pay as well on my gains. So I will cover everything in that, and that will be that's my sell price for Bitcoin. It has to be for something. There's no point investing if it's not going to give you a return at some point. I'm at a time in my life where clearing my mortgage would be it's a financial burden to me. So having that cleared would be life-changing for me, and that's what this is all about. That's what Bitcoin for me is all about. Yes, I do want to hold Bitcoin forever, and I'm hoping that I'll have enough left over to have a small stock, so I've always got some Bitcoin, because for me it's the ultimate hedge, and also it's a way for me to sort of have a bit of security in a world at the moment where who knows what's going to happen next. Are we going to have World War III? Whatever. So I think having Bitcoin as a safe haven is really important. So that's kind of, but my plan is to do that, and my ETH, I'm watching the ETH to BTC ratio. That's really important to me. If ETH reaches a good price against Bitcoin, then I will trade my ETH into Bitcoin and look to boost my Bitcoin stocks. And as I say, once it gets to a point where I can cover my mortgage plus the associated tax, I'll then sell up and pay my mortgage off, which will be absolutely insane and great for me. So that's kind of my plan. Always have a plan, always have an idea, because there's no point investing if you haven't got a plan. Or if you're saving for the future, save to buy a house or for retirement, then Bitcoin is a great tool for that. We know that over time it's accumulating and the price goes up. Yes, it'll fluctuate. Yes, it's horrible when it goes down. Yes, it makes you want to shit yourself. But stay in the game because it will come good. I've not been in that long. 2021 is when I first started investing. So what's that? 5 years I've been here. But I know people that have been in much longer and are in much better positions than me. But that's cool. Good for you, right? You so early. I wish I'd have listened to people a lot earlier than I did. But I'm glad I got in when I did. And Bitcoin for me is in a healthy amount of profit. Not enough for me to want to take it off the table yet. But there will come a time when every month my mortgage goes down. Every month Bitcoin, every year Bitcoin seems to be on a position where it's better than it was previously. So my hope is that when the two correlate, that's when I'll be tempted to sell. But at the moment, I am definitely not tempted to sell my Bitcoin at all. In fact, I want to buy more. It's on sale. I want to buy more. So let's have a look at crypto bubbles and where we are with that. So just having a little look around here. It's hit and miss, isn't it, with it? I don't think anything in the last week is showing a particularly good price. Everything's down. If you look at the month, there's only a few outliers, and if you know these, then you've done well. But hype was down quite a lot. It's come back up. That's quite a good one to trade, isn't it, hype, if you're doing that. Look at gold and PAXG. They're the ones that you want to have a look at. They're up now 11% in the last month, and 2% in the last week. If you look in the year, they're up massively, aren't they, the gold ones? Zcash is doing amazing. Look at Trump down 80% in the last year. So you need Bitcoin down 25% in the last year. So on sale 50% down. Like, these are sort of things you need to have a look at. Like, but the clear ones that you know, like Ondo down 8%, Sui 66%, ETH down 16%. So ETH's not down that much, is it? When you look at ETH, it's not down that much. So yeah, again, I let's have a look at things. ETH is holding up pretty well. When you consider where we're at. So Link down 50%. Like, it's just been horrible, hasn't it, these last two? So let's have a look at the last day. We've seen quite a lot of green. Look at Asta up 16%, ETH up 5%, Ondo up 5%, Pump up 7%. So yeah, it's we've seen a positive uptake, and last week might have just been the low for the moment. I think we'll see a pump now. Maybe not all the way, but see a little bit of a pump up until the end of the month, going into the end of tax year. So let's see what happens. Then I expect quite a bit of profit taking to happen. The last hour has been positive for crypto. It's always dangerous to the weekend, and I try not to take any notice of it, because the weekend is typically, you open up CME gaps, which is a pain in the ass, and they typically need to be closed. So if it pumps too much over the weekend, I see that as quite a bad sign, because you're going to get some pullback over the course of the next week. So just be mindful of that. If you're seeing price go up and you get excited over a weekend, I would say it's a nothing burger, and wait until Monday, Tuesday, or midweek, and see how it settles, because CME gaps will need to be closed. Typically they do end up closing. So if we have a move to the upside, that CME gap will need to be closed. Alright, so let's go into CoinGecko and have a look at the true price action and where we're at the moment. So we're seeing, obviously, Bitcoin back up to 70k. It's managed to get up to there, and we're nearly at 71. So it's pounded down to the low of down to nearly 60k, and it's rocketed back up to 80. So we've seen, look at that down. I mean, it's been a real true downtrend, but look at that, it's bottomed, it's come back up, and now it's sideways. We might see sideways up to, I think there's a huge amount of leverage at around 80k. So if we get to 80k, I think you're going to see quite a big move there. So just be mindful of that. That could lead to something. Look at Sui under $1 as well. If you are interested in that sort of thing, just be mindful that Sui has had a lot of token unlocks and had a lot of price to go down because of that. XRP surviving pretty well, isn't it? $1.45. Look at how it dropped and it's back up. That seems to be doing pretty well. BNB down to 6.1. How much was nearly a K, wasn't it? So that's really gone down. Doge gone down, and struggling, like everything's struggling. Like nothing. What is it? White Bitcoin, no idea what that is. I'm assuming that's pegged to some sort of Bitcoin, but I've got no idea what that is. Yeah, it's not hype. Is, like I said, was one that was has held up pretty well, considering all the capitulation that's happening around it. So hype is definitely one to sort of keep an eye on. But with that, not much change. Everything's in a really shitty position, to be absolutely honest with you. Gold is interesting, isn't it? It did sell off. Look at that sell off, but it's come back, then capitulated down, and now it's back on the bandit up again. So it'll be interesting what happens with that over the coming week. DOT has just been shocking, hasn't it? Down 10%, but it's been on the death for a while. RV down quite a bit, 9%. That was nearly up $200 at one bit. So yeah, again, lots on sale at the moment. Lots of good prices out there if you want to take a chance. I've always liked Ondo, and it's super cheap at the moment, but you just gotta be so careful buying into anything at this stage. I am waiting for Bitcoin to bottom, and then I might consider alt positions. But until that happens, I'm not even looking at alts. I think it's so dangerous to be going anywhere near them at the moment, because it feels like it's on the edge. And yes, I think we'll get a pump, and alts will obviously pump with it, but it's not looking like Stacks is up there. I mean, Stacks have done pretty well this week, but you know, down to 26 cents is just insane for the price that it was previously. So the one thing about Stacks, you can stack it and you can earn Bitcoin off Stacks. So it's quite an interesting project. I don't know if you've looked into it, but it's Bitcoin infrastructure, and it's building on top of the Bitcoin network. It's an interesting project. Definitely want to have a look at. I've hodled it for quite a while, and obviously I'm down, but I have been stacking Bitcoin with it. So that is probably the one saving grace. It doesn't make up for the losses, but you know, again, it's a long game. If you've got Bitcoin, I think you're going to be all right eventually. So yeah, just might be something to have a look at. But yeah, it's not a pretty picture at the moment, guys. Not great out there. Just be mindful, just be careful, because it is so volatile at the moment, and things are happening that we just need to be a little bit cautious about. But yeah, just be mindful of the price action at the moment. It could be a trap. So don't go too heavy in now. I think it's just a case of averaging in like you would into Bitcoin if you are, and just make sure you're just protecting yourself. And if you are in a good tax position, it might be time to think about taking some chips off the table if you are able to stomach losses against gains. So if you have got any coins, probably Hype's the only one that's probably going to be all right at the moment. So if you've got Hype, you might want to continue offsetting some of your losses with the gains to close out this year. But not financial advice, just some mindful tips to you. I'm not a financial advisor. If you do need financial advice, please seek that from somebody suitably qualified. Okay, that's the end of the video. Hope you found it useful. We've gone through quite a lot. It's going to be an interesting week, and I look forward to giving you an update sometime next week. All the best, everyone.